boxing casuals, UFC casuals. We don't know every fighter's name. We don't know every fighter's stats. We know more of that when it comes to basketball and football, but we are learning. But we want to go over the fights that just happened. We have Deontay Wilder versus how do you say his name? Is it
Big
Zelly
Z.
Shang? We're gonna call him Big Z. And the fight did not turn out how we thought. I mean, Deontay has that Falcon punch, that Thunder punch, that one shot punch that can end any fight. But Big Z made sure he ended that fight, and boy did he end that fight in style.
True. I mean, you can tell. I mean, we got a clip right here, man. But you can tell the fight was already messed up from the beginning. Once you seen the weigh in, Big Z had about 60 pounds. So if you didn't know, to be considered a heavyweight,
What's
it's
crazy
200
is
pounds or more.
Wilder's lost so many of his recent fights, and he's still 43-3.
I mean, yeah.
He's lost I think 3 out of his last 4, and that's just been it's like boxers almost run out of gas, and then they're like, oh, I still got it, and then they lose 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 7,
going out
and then they're like, oh, maybe I am done.
So basically, when we got a clip right here. We're gonna talk about that. Then we're gonna talk about when should Wilder retire. Is it time for Wilder to hang it up? We got a clip right here, basically of the fight. Boom, boom,
Bow, bow, and then spin around,
boom.
bow.
Basically knockout that fast, man. It was basically into the fifth round.
We can just show us some, they be hating.
Deontay Wilder says if he lost today, he would have retired. He got knocked out in the 5th round. By the 2nd round, he was already stunned. He had to wobble with the Bambi legs.
Let me see you wobble when you wobble.
It was just horrible. I mean, we're gonna go up the fight card. So we had the Hutchinson versus the Richards fight. I mean, Hutchinson's won that one. That one was it was sad. Richards didn't. He needed to retire too. The Ball versus Forward fight, that fight, the 2 small dudes we saw fighting that, they was throwing hands.
I'm not going to lie. I only saw a couple highlights. I was actually watching the UFC fights. I was watching Fournier get lose at the end, man. I thought he was going to finally get the title, but he couldn't get it done.
We saw the Daniel Dubois versus the Havoc fight when he almost closed Havoc eye up.
Oh, yeah, we did.
He basically crushed his whole eye socket. I mean,
that was pretty bad.
That was pretty bad. I mean, we got to see what's going on with that one. But I mean, this Wilder fight, it was crazy. Wilder, he doesn't have any combinations. He was just trying to set him up for that one punch.
You could even see it. Like my co-host said, he's trying to set up the one punch. He's almost locking in, almost pushing him away, and then you could see him just almost holding this hand here, and then just trying to oh, I'm gonna aim it, and then.
Exactly.
He thinks he's one punch man.
He's basically, and I was doing a lot of research on this, and a lot of people were saying oh, it's because of Deontay. He's not a real boxer. He's basically a one punch person. He didn't go through the Olympics because if you didn't know, a lot of the basically heavyweight champions that became champions, they went through the whole Olympic situation, like Floyd Mayweather.
He came into boxing late in life.
Muhammad Ali, yeah, and that's what they say. Well, you learn you learn combinations, you learn punches when you're in Olympic training. You basically in amateur boxing, because they wearing helmets and everything, so you learn a lot more fighting styles. And he didn't learn that, so I mean,
he's missing a lot of technique.
He's missing a lot of techniques. Also, I mean, what's worse? Would you rather, if you lost 3 fights, would you rather it be scattered out, or would you rather lose 3 fights at the end?
I guess at the end,
once you label the greatest, you label the greatest.
It could just be man, this guy was great, and then he kind of faded out at the end of his career, and he knew to hang it up. I mean, you'd rather kind of go out like that, oh man, this guy dominated for a decade, and then he wore out at the end, and he knew to hang it up.
True. So basically, it's
because if it's sprinkled in, it's was he really that good? But if you have an expended time of dominance,
true,
you're man, that guy was the truth for 5 years, 8 years, 10 years.
I mean, yeah. I mean, think about it.
Even Mike Tyson was like that. He lost a few of his fights on his last majority of his last handful of fights, but there was a 10-year period where you didn't want to see Iron Mike.
I mean, it was a period where you didn't want to see Wilder, but I mean, it all changed once he fought Tyson Fury. Once Tyson Fury knocked him out, it was just all over. It's once these boxers get knocked out, and they get changed. They get changed. They get changed. They chin ain't never the same. But I mean, this one is just
unless
crazy.
You're Ryan Garcia, just take steroids and power through.
You a hater.
And then you can take Haney on.
But with this one, when
allegedly
when Wilder got hit and he turned around. I'm seeing a lot of people showing highlights of like, I guess
It's like
it's
how I
part
do my coach in basketball in the post, hit him with the fadeaway, and he's like, "What's going on? Jump shot in your mouth."
all right, well now, have you been seeing
In your
a lot of these videos of basically Wilder training? Like he's basically like he's throwing punches and like he tried to do the whole little turnaround thing and come back and hit you again.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I
You
mean,
can't do a back fist in boxing.
it's not skateboarding. So, but I mean, it's just horrible. We got to see what's going on with Wilder. A lot of people saying it's time for him to retire.
Retire. Two thumbs down.
He's been losing these fights, and all these fights have been looking worse and worse and worse. They're saying Anthony Joshua was supposed to be fighting Wilder, should have fought Wilder, was gonna fight Wilder, but after this, it's just a waste of time. I mean, with this, do you also feel like Deontay needs to retire?
He's done. He's cooked. I'm done talking about him.
What about Tyson Fury?
He looked cooked in the last match also. He's getting old too, though, so we'll see how he does in the rematch, if he performs the same.
True. We gotta see how he does in the rematch, see if he performs the same. But, I mean, y'all comment down below how y'all feel about this. Also coming up, the Gervonta Davis fight is coming up real soon, so make sure y'all stay tuned on that.
Who's he fighting?
He's Frank Martin. You don't really know who he is. We definitely gonna be watching that fight.
Frank the Tank.
Exactly. We can't wait for all these other fights coming up. I mean, Ryan Garcia supposed to be fighting soon again. If he don't get fined, Devin Haney, gotta see what's going on with that. Terrence Crawford, we gotta see what's going on with that. There's a lot of other boxers, but man, it's time to talk about some music.